Okay, the first thing I'd like to say is that I don't want anyone to run away with the wrong impression or an illusion of what I am. Or so what first of all, I'm going to just say, well, I'm not. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I am a psychologist. I have a PhD, which gives me the title of doctor, and my doctorate is in a subject related to the psychology of religion and the psychology of religious belief. It's an academic qualification, not a practical qualification. And my doctorate was awarded for my thesis on the work of Frederick Myers, who was one of the founder members of the Society of Psychical Research in 1882. So why do I have a doctorate on the work of Frederick Myers? And why do I do what I do now? This is a very, very difficult question to answer because the answer involves a journey that has taken more than 20 years to cover. My investigation into these phenomena began more than 20 years ago when the economy collapsed and my business in the distribution industry, in computers and in exhibitions and conferences, collapsed and vanished in a cloud of dust overnight when Maggie Thatcher's policies failed. And I was sitting on a beach on the island of Crete, and I was saying to the universe, what do I do now? And it was by asking that simple question, or to put it another way, dear God, what is happening here? I need answers, I need explanations. And then the strangest things began to happen. I began to get the answers I was looking for. And I began to have a series of what could perhaps best be described as mystical experiences, where I was shown things I did not understand. And I discovered, and I was shown, that I had a natural healing gift that I did not understand. And I could take pain away, physical pain away from people miraculously without understanding how or why it worked. So I needed to find out how and why it works. And that was the beginning of the journey. And where we are today is that I work with people who come to me for help, who hear voices. They may be diagnosed with schizophrenia or post-traumatic stress or any number of psychiatric diagnoses. And because I'm not a psychiatrist, I can't challenge those diagnoses. I'm not qualified to do that. And I'm not qualified to treat people because I'm not a medical doctor. So what do? I access their spiritual consciousness. I access them at a spiritual level. I invite them to go into an altered state of consciousness that some might describe as a hypnotic trance. Some might describe as an altered state of consciousness. Some would call it a meditative state. But whatever name you give it, it's not the normal everyday consciousness that we use as we go about our everyday business. It's a slightly shifted state of consciousness that enables us to see and perceive things that our normal everyday waking consciousness can't perceive. So when a person's hearing voices, it's normally assumed by medical science and psychiatry that these voices are hallucinations, that they're created in the imagination of a defective brain. And the way to deal with them is to inject an antipsychotic drug or some kind of chemical compound that will make the voices go away. That is the common assumption of medical science. But what I've learned through practical experience, that is not the case at all. These voices are real. They come from a source other than the creative imagination of the individual. They come from an external origin. And they can be dealt with. It's a very, very simple process that I can demonstrate very, very simply in 20 minutes to anyone. And what we've been doing here today is to actually demonstrate live with a man who's been hearing voices, not just hearing voices, he's been persecuted by a gang of voices for 20 years. And it's driven him to the point of suicide. And he came here today to be relieved of those voices by me, by a man who is not a medical doctor, not a psychiatrist, and has a PhD in the psychology of religion. And after 20 years, the man no longer hears voices. Thank you for listening.